Hey everybody, my name is Rich Killen, and I am one of the new high performance coaches at Complete Performance Coaching. And so I just wanted to take a few minutes just to get on here and introduce myself to all of you, let you guys know a little bit about my background and things like that. But before I get into all of that, I want to go ahead and apologize in advance because I have never done Facebook Live. And so if this is awkward or if something goes wrong, I'll just go ahead and blame it on that. So hopefully it goes good. Like I said, I am brand new to Complete Performance Coaching. But I have been working with athletes, I started back in 2008. I got my master's degree in sports and exercise psychology. And so I have been working with athletes off and on since then. I've worked with baseball and football, tennis, swimming. I've done high school, I've done college. So pretty big variety there. I've also got a master's degree in mental health counseling. And so right now what I'm doing, I actually live in Arizona, and so I work for a outpatient mental health counseling center where I actually specialize in anxiety and OCD. So I spend a lot of my time doing that. So that's kind of, I guess, where I'm at right now. One of the questions I get a lot of times is kind of what led me to get into sports psychology. And so I guess for me, it started kind of in high school. I played baseball in high school. And so I remember having this kind of conversation with myself. You know, the goal is always to play professionally, like most kids in my position. And so when I got to high school, I remember thinking, you know, regardless of how good I am, the chances of me actually, you know, playing professional baseball, maybe aren't that great. And so I should probably have kind of a plan B. So I began thinking about it, and I knew I love sports, all kinds of sports, not just baseball. Then I started to learn about psychology in high school, and I really got into that. And I remember thinking, I wish there was a way that I could just kind of combine these two. And at the time, I didn't even know there was such a thing as sports psychology. And so when I got to college, I found out that this was an actual field. And so I wanted to get into it. And so when I graduated, I ended up moving out here to Arizona for grad school, and I got my degree. So I guess now I will, tell you guys a little bit about kind of my athletic background. So I guess it kind of all started when I was about 6 years old. My brother is 10 years older than me, and he played baseball in high school. So I remember going to his baseball games when I was, 5 or 6 years old, and I would kind of walk around in his old baseball cleats that were, 2 or 3 times bigger than my feet. And so I kind of just sort of fell in love with that. As a family, me and my dad and my brother, we would watch baseball all the time. And so when I got to about 6 years old, I was finally able to play. And I was hooked from the beginning. And so growing up, I played baseball, played other sports too. I played basketball, I played football. Interestingly, I played 1 year of Pop Warner football, and after that, I basically swore that I would never play football ever again. It just was not a good experience for me. I did not have fun. And then I ended up getting to high school, and my baseball coaches were also the football coaches, and so they talked me into playing football, and so I ended up playing 3 years of football in high school as well. Which I actually really enjoyed. My dad would always tell me that he thought that I was more talented, had more natural talent with football than baseball. But but baseball was always my love, my passion, and so I spent most of my energy there. When I got to high school, I played on varsity all 4 years, and so probably about my junior year, I think I got noticed by some scouts, and I'd had some scouts kind of come into my games. Then when my senior year rolled around, there was a lot more, and then there was one scout in particular that kind of spent more time with me. Once a week I would go and work out with him and some of the other kind of local prospects and things like that, and we would kind of work out and just he would give us pointers and things like that. And then I remember after one game in high school, he sat down with me and my parents, and basically we had a conversation about what it would take for me to sign, in the event that they were to draft me. And so to make a long story short, basically I decided that I'd end up going to college, because in my mind I figured, I'd go to college, I'd probably get better, I'd get drafted higher, I'd make more money, and so that kind of played a role in that decision. So I got a scholarship to play baseball in college, and so my freshman year there, I was one of, I think there was 3 catchers on the team, and I was a freshman, and the other 2 were upperclassmen, and so they had me redshirting for half of the year, which at the time I was okay with, because they were upperclassmen and I was a freshman, so it made sense. Well, about halfway through the season, they decided that they needed to take me off of redshirt, and because the other catchers were either injured or they just weren't playing well, so they took me off of redshirt, and ended up playing and starting pretty much the rest of that year and on into playoffs. And so considering I felt like I had a pretty good season that year, but after that, it was kind of a snowball effect almost. The next year had a great fall, had a great summer. I think I hit over 400 that fall, and so I was ready to go. And then this other catcher that they brought in just had an unbelievable year. I think he hit like 18 to 20 bombs that year, which for college and for where I played, that's a lot. And so I was okay with it at that point, because I knew, that's that wasn't my game. I wasn't a home run hitter or anything like that, so there wasn't really anything I could do about that. I totally understood that. Then the next year, I ended up getting hurt. I actually shattered my hand playing baseball, and so I had to have surgery. I have still got plate and screws in my hand, and I was a catcher, and so I broke my left hand, and so just the idea of having to catch a 95-mile-an-hour fastball with a surgically repaired hand, that was kind of a difficult thing to grasp, but the rehab went well, and so I came back the following year, but at that point, I kind of sort of felt like I was playing catch up, and so I didn't get quite the opportunities that I wanted, or that I felt like I needed. And when I did get those opportunities, I put so much pressure on myself. I always tell people that I'm a head case, and that was definitely the case in college, because every opportunity I got, I put so much pressure on myself that I usually didn't do that well. And I struggled with the mental game even as a kid. I was the kind of player where, if I had 2 hits in a row, the next time I come up to bat, I would just be thinking, well, what's the chances of me actually getting 3 hits in a row? So I'm probably going to get out here, and just totally psyching myself out before I even got up to the plate. And so yeah, the last few years in college, I didn't get the opportunity, and when I did, I didn't perform like I knew I could and I knew I should. So it was frustrating. It was frustrating to say the least. Um, and so I guess that's kind of my athletic background. So when I meet with athletes, I really try to spend a lot of time with them and understanding them and knowing what their strengths and weaknesses are. I also try to spend time. Well, let me back up. I actually I speak a lot, kind of from personal experience in a way, because I've experienced a lot. I've experienced the highs. I've experienced the lows and just the frustrations in sports. I've experienced injuries and having to deal with it. Also in college, I had all kinds of just like nagging injuries, whether it was an arm or feet or legs or back or whatever. My file in the athletic training room where I went to college was really thick, and it was probably thicker, I think, than any other athlete in the entire school. So just a lot of just kind of nagging things that sort of wore on me. And so, like I was saying, the way I sort of approach athletes, I try to focus on their strengths. So I worked with one athlete in particular. He was actually a second baseman, and he had a hard time just throwing the ball to first base, which on the baseball field, that's probably one of the easiest throws you're going to make. And it's definitely one of the shortest throws you're going to make. So every time the ball was hit to him, he had this like automatic thought of, don't screw this up, or don't throw the ball away, or something like that. And so as I worked with him, one of his strengths, one of the things he really enjoyed was music. And so what we sort of did was we kind of reframed or restructured that automatic thought, so that instead of, as soon as the ball is hit to him, he's thinking, don't screw up. Instead of that, he was now thinking of whatever song just popped into his head. And so we just kind of changed that for him. And then by the end of the year, he was actually able to make those throws, because we sort of blocked out those negative thoughts that were bothering him so much before. And so that's a lot of what I do, and how I work with athletes. If any of you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. And I look forward to hopefully speaking with a lot of you here in the future. So anyways, like I said, my name is Coach Rich, and I am new to the team. And so, yeah, hopefully this went well. And like I said, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. All right.